In June of 2016, my environment completely changed. My environment told me that I had failed, that the attempts for the previous 21 years of my life were not good enough, and that I should have done more. My physical environment was empty, my mental environment clouded, my emotional environment attacked, and my spiritual environment was tested. And the worst part is that my new environment told me that it was okay if I was going to pity myself. It was okay. Ryan, you could pity yourself for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year. It don't matter. You could do it for the rest of your life. And people around you will look at you and go, this is why he is the way he is. It's okay. I was in apartment 411 up above Spicy Pie. Shout out, Zach. I know you're in here. I was at 411 making lunch. And I had just pulled my food out of the microwave, set it on the counter, took a bite, and my phone rang. My phone rang, and it was my Uncle Dan. And Uncle Dan's the kind of person or the kind of uncle, I guess, that might call you once in a while, say, hey, you need anything, like I love you, just kind of quick phone call. So it wasn't anything crazy that Uncle Dan was calling me. I picked up the phone, I said, hey, what's up, Uncle Dan? He said, hey, buddy, I got some bad news. And I could hear it in his voice. It sounded like he just got done crying, like something was for real wrong. I said, yeah, what's up? He said, your dad killed himself last night. He shot himself in the head. Boom. My stomach dropped. And I walked over. Don't do that. I walked over to the couch, and I kind of crouched down like this. And I was still on the phone. I said, hey, has anybody talked to my little brother? Has anybody talked to Anthony? He said, no, his phone's off. Nobody's heard from him. He might be at work, though. I said, I'm about to call you back. So I walked back over in the living room, and I called my little brother right away. I called his cell phone, no ring. Freaked out. Like, what's going on? Where's my little brother? What's the situation? Did he find Dad, like, in bed, in the scene, and he left, turned his phone off, didn't know what to do? Like, where's my little brother? So I called work. I picked up the Nike outlet, dialed him right there. Said, hey, is Anthony Fila there? She said, yeah, hold on a second, I'm going to get him. And I was relieved. Huge weight lifted up. But then something else set in. What was I going to say? Hey, bud, Dad killed himself last night. Like, nope. I remember the whole conversation, but I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him the first time. I said, I'm going to have to call you back. And I put the phone down. I said, I'm going to go for a walk. And I walked downstairs, walked out to Broadway and 11th Street right there at Spicy Pie. And I sat on an electrical box, like in the parking lot. I sat there, and I hopped up on the seat, just facing the parking lot, maybe 60, 90 seconds. And I realized, Ryan, what are you doing? Like, you better get up. What are you doing right now? This isn't time to pity yourself. This is a situation at hand right now that you have to address right now. Get up. Like, quit feeling sorry for yourself. Get up. So I got up. I walked back up to the apartment. I called my little brother. I said, hey, this is the situation. I'll be home in like 5 hours. Come get me at the airport. I get to Colorado. We pull in a driveway about 5-6 hours later. I'm with my little brother. We pull in, cars all up in the parking lot or in the driveway. I walk inside. The family's all there. Some of the family just was viciously crying, like white-faced. Some of them looked like they were just looking through me. I gave some hugs, walked back to my dad's room with my little brother, my Uncle Dan. And we walked into the room. And as we walked in, there's no carpet. There's things missing off his dressers. Stuff missing all over the place. There's no bedding. All it is a bed frame. No beds, no mattresses, no blankets, no nothing. Curtains missing, and most importantly, there was no Dad. So we walked in, talked for a minute. I said, hey, guys, can I get a second? They said, sure. Walked out, shut the door. It was just me in there. And I looked around in the room, like trying to wrap my head around this whole situation. What was going on? Like, what? The last 12 hours, I don't understand. What's happening? I did that for a couple minutes, and then I found myself just scavenging through everything Dad owned. I'm talking about the nightstand, all of his drawers out, everywhere he hid stuff. I'm tearing the room up, looking for an answer. Why? Why was tonight any worse than any other night? How much more did my dad drink? What's the situation? Why? And I walked around doing that for 15 minutes and found nothing. I mean, I looked his room up and down to look for everything, searched and found no answer. But it was okay that I didn't find an answer, because what was an answer going to do for my family? What was an answer going to do for me? That answer wasn't going to help anybody. It was over. The situation had happened. When something happens, there's nothing you can do to reach back and get it back in time. Time never stops, it's limited, and it's non-refundable. You don't get time back. My dad was dead, and there was nothing I could do to change that. My last point comes down to this. There will be tough times in your life, and you'll probably face tough times in college, if you haven't already. I'm not talking about like a broken bone. I'm not talking about something that you get over, it'll be all right. I'm talking about something that everything, like if you keep a calendar, if you keep a schedule, everything just got pushed out. Everything else stops. Kind of adversity. But what matters isn't what happened. The situation isn't what matters. What matters for you is how you respond. Your response defines who you are. How you deal with it defines who you are. My dad's death could have defined who I am today, and I understand in some ways it does. I understand that in some ways it does, but for the most part, I allow it. I allow it to motivate me to get up in front of crowds, in front of people like you, and to speak. I allow it to motivate me to make sure almost every night before I go to bed that I text my brother and I text my mom. Because you never know. Tell them I love them. Make sure they are okay. You never know. My life isn't just about me. My story isn't just about me. It's about you. My question to you is, what's your story about? What's it going to be about? What happens in here is great. This conversation and everything that comes from this is great. But what's way more important than that is what happens when you leave that door, you leave that door, or you leave that door. I appreciate y'all. I love you. Thank you for coming out, and go out and create your story. That's all I got.